straighter legged L sit, more of like a flatter back frog. Today I'm going to take you through a nice straight arm superset. So we're going to use a L sit through to planche, so L sit position through to tuck planche, and then superset that with a front lever pull come skin the cat type movements. So I'm going to do both of those things. So basically a pulling movement and a pushing movement. So for the front lever pull, it could be this type of thing, or we could go all the way through to the skin the cat. Now with the skin the cat on the bar, you have to work out how to get your feet through and then come down to your German hang. So there's a bit of a prerequisite there and be able to pull back out. And the same with the L sit to planche. There's a prerequisite there. You need to be able to go between them. But I'm going to show progressions as we go, and I'm going to show easier options and harder options. Now before we start, we need to make sure that our scapula is happy. So just do a few scapular push-ups. So remember with the scapular push-ups, we want to have that full protraction at the top, not hanging out with any winging of the shoulder blades. We'll be pushing up to full protraction. If you can do that on your toes, then awesome. So 5 to 10 reps there, making sure you hit that full protraction at the top. And the same hang-in, so just going from that passive position through to an active hold. So pulling up as high as you can without bending the arms, and then going back down again. Well, I can feel I'm a bit sore from those handstand push-ups I done yesterday. So taking it easy just to warm that scapula up. Then with the push movements, making sure that you're nice and happy in that L sit position. Now you could obviously extend the legs out to harder variations of the L sit, but because I want to make the planche the priority, this is just going to basically be my starting position and my finish position for the planche transition. Then we just need to work out what variation of the planche we're going to use. So I'm just going to use a tuck planche, especially to start with. Now I know I can get into that tuck planche from the L sit, so I can go from L sit to tuck planche, or I can start in the tuck planche and go to L sit. Now the second one is easier, so let's start with that one. If you don't have a planche yet on the P-bars, I'll show you a variation on the floor, but it just means you're not going to be able to go between the transition between them, but you could do the movements separately. So pushing up to my planche, 5-10 seconds there, and then slowly transitioning through to that L sit. So if you're still working towards your tuck planche and you can't do it high up on the P-bars yet, you could do a floor version with low P-bars or just hands on the floor, just externally rotate. You could keep tiptoes on the floor, so just holding in that position, really working that protraction. If you can, you could lift 1 foot, 2 feet ideally. If that's too hard, you could use a band assist. So we could have an anchor point, put the band around the hips. This anchor point is probably a little bit too low to give me any assistance that's really going to help. If you're still working towards this, you'll probably want the band up a little bit higher, but same thing, trying to get that mimic of the actual tuck planche, how you want to look when you're not using the band. And then all you do is whatever variation of the tuck planche you're doing, just do that for about 5 to 10 seconds and then quickly jump up and do your L sit. If you are doing that separately though, I would still work a shoulder stand to L sit. So maybe going in a tuck position so you're not in the planche, but you're in the shoulder stand, and then come through to your L sit. And then for your front lever, just jump up to an inverted position, or if you have it, you could do that from a passive hang position, bring the knees towards the chest, and then pull up. And then from there, I'm just gonna lower and pass through my tuck front lever as slow as possible, back down again. If you can't get up to the inverted hang on that one, you could walk up the wall, so I could push off the wall to get upside down, or you could do it between rings. Now between rings makes it easier again, because I can enter from this German hang position and basically step into the inversion, and then from there push the knees out to the arms and come down as low as I'm comfortable with. Now I'm going to put these movements together, and I'm going to go into my tuck L sit position, come through, push up into my tuck planche, hold 4 or 5 seconds, and then slowly back down again. Now I went pretty slow. I even tried to talk on the way up, that's why I'm out of breath now. But if you can't come up nice and slowly into that position, you could use momentum. So you could swing from the L sit and try and catch in the tuck planche and use a little bit of momentum there. Just make sure you get up and push up into that protracted rounded position and not catch in like a dropped scapular position. And if you don't have that transition yet, you could do the L sit through the shoulder stand, or you could just stick with the tuck planche variation, whatever you have, lowering down to the L sit. Now I'm going to do a super slow skin the cat, so I'm really going to spend time on the way up where it's challenging to get through that front lever position, slow as possible, then through the inversion, which is the easier part, out the other end, pass through back lever, come all the way down to German hang position, but I'm going to stay in a nice tuck position, so it's going to be relatively easier from a lever arm point of view. Now obviously if you can't go slowly here, you could use some momentum, or you could use your feet on the bar, you could use rings. I have to cross the legs to get through, pass through that relatively easy back lever position because I'm in a tuck, down to German hang, stretch, reverse the movement, back out. Nice and slow through the front lever, and that last part which is hard when the hips come past that 90 degrees, so you just want to drop. So trying to control that and go really slowly is challenging but an awesome workout. And then I'm just going to progress to harder variations of the L-sit and the planche now until I get too tired to do any more. So I'm going to start in that straighter legged L-sit, more of like a flatter back frog position planche, back to the L-sit. Same with the front lever pull, or I'm going to go through to the German hang again, but I'm going to make a harder variation by keeping the knees away from my chest. So you notice I went quicker, but it was a harder variation. Again, through that back lever part, knees away from the chest. Bit limited because of the bar. If you're using rings, you can stay open for the inversion part as well, because you're not going to hit this bar. And then you just need to modify each of those depending on what things you want to hit, how much time under tension you want on each section. Remember, if you're doing the bigger movements like the skin the cat, you could argue that you're using time under tension all the way through, not just where you hold the front lever or the back lever. So you just need to work out which parts of the movements, both for the push movement and the pulling movement, that you want to spend most of the time, so you make most of the gains in that section. The issues people have is they have bigger gaps, and the gaps is the bit that they want to fill. So say they don't have a tuck planche, but they don't spend enough time in that tuck planche position. It's maybe only there for a second or two. Same with the front lever, or any of the movements that you can't actually hang out in, but you want to get stronger there. It's really hard to work out which exercise you need to use to get good quality time under tension in that area. And that's where the bands can come in, or playing around with different variations like slow eccentrics can start to fill those gaps. Now, if you're still working towards your tuck planche, check out this video. If you're working to your front lever, check this one out. And let me know down below if you have any questions. I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.